Hi, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. I hope I can do this conversation justice. So I just did my mental health check-in, my journaling for today, and I'm not doing the best emotionally, and let me show you partially why. Hopefully you can see this. For the last couple of days, it has been gloomy and it's going to be that way for the next several days. And I've shared with you guys before that my mood is contingent upon my environment. So I used to live in the north. I moved south because I have seasonal depression. So the fall and winter months, when you mix that in with dead leaves and trees on top of cold weather, it was doing a lot to me emotionally. So moving here to the south, it gives me warmer weather. It gives me shorter winters and falls, and it just helps me to balance my mental state better. Now, I can create the mood that I need to inside of my home to combat different types of feelings and emotions and cater to my well-being. However, the mind is an organism that tends to function in a way that sometimes we cannot control. So I may have control over my environment. I do not always have control over my mind. Hence, therefore, as an example, I want to share some of my struggles with suicide. Let me preface this discussion by saying I am not actively suicidal. I have not had active suicidal thoughts since I was in my early 20s. To catch people up, I have high functioning depression and I have anxiety. And when it comes to any type of mental illness, there is no one size fit all. So none of our traits are 100% the same. There is no one way to seek help or get help or work through your challenges. It's going to look and feel and be different for everyone. So again, I'm speaking on my personal experiences and my personal struggles. Although I think the act of suicide is curable, I do not think the thought is. Once the thought of suicide is planted in the mind, it's there forever. So it doesn't necessarily leave. Whether you act on it or not, those thoughts are forever going to appear throughout your entire life. My personal opinion, my personal experience. The act and thought of suicide is very serious, and I don't want this video to be taken lightly. I don't want this video to scare anybody. Just want to kind of give you insight in terms of what I have encountered and what I continuously have to endure. I have the tools, I have the resources, I have the support, I have everything that it is that I need to never go down that road. However, there is a right side of my brain, the brain that I have full control over. There's a whole other part of my brain where I have to, it's a struggle. I have to maintain a certain level of sanity on that side of the brain because I do not have full control. So there's people out here that have full control over their bodies, have full control over their mind. I do not. There is a part of my brain that I have 110% access to. There is another part that is probably going to be in therapy for forever, mainly because I don't have full control over that and I may never. And that is okay. I know there are people that are like, oh my goodness, I can't understand how someone can appear to be okay, appear to be happy and joyful and all of these things, and then decide to no longer be among the living. And I would say that it's actually a pretty easy decision to make, especially when you do not have full control over certain areas of your mind. And that's where that trickery comes in. So I have common sense. I have a deep understanding of what suicide is, how it would impact me and those who love me, right? But the trickery of the mind even in my happiest moments, will sneak in and be like, you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve to be happy. And again, that's that daily struggle. That's the part of the mind that I have to continuously tap into and make sure it is okay, because it's almost like a dormant part of my life. I can cover it up, I can mask it up, I can put it to the side, but then there's sometimes where it can dominate and control my day-to-day, my right mind. And that can be scary sometimes. So although I know I can confidently say I would never do something like that, I can never be trusted that I would never do something like that, because there are triggers. And I can do a whole separate video. If anyone is interested, leave it in the comments below about what those triggers are and what those triggers mean. But there are factors that I know that I have to continuously work through, because those triggers may send me over the edge. And I am fortunate enough to have loved ones and friends who understands who I am mentally, to never expose me to certain things, never have me in certain environments, and know when to check in on me and when to make sure that I am okay, because it is a daily struggle. As I mentioned, there is the plant of the seed of suicidal thoughts. And those seeds started for me very young, because I dealt with a lot of bullying. I dealt with a lot of childhood trauma. And that trauma sparked the thoughts of it, which is why I don't think the thought would ever go away. It's going to be there forever. Now, me acting on it is something totally different. And as I said, I have never been actively suicidal since my early 20s. But because those thoughts are still there, there's always going to be work to be done, that those thoughts never turn into action. And so when people say that they have encountered folk who at one point had thoughts of suicide and then they did act on it, and they're surprised by the fact that they knew there were thoughts and never had an idea that they would actually do it, that's because the thoughts never go away. I have moments where I'm living well, I'm living good, everything is going good, and that part of my mind will seep in and say to me, you don't have the right to be joyful, you don't have the right to be here. Those are moments where my therapy kicks in, where my training kicks in, where my tools kick in. I have to constantly be in this battle with my mind, and it is exhausting. It can be exhausting. There are days where I'm totally mentally okay. There are no negative thoughts of any kind, and not just suicide, just of any kind. And then there's moments where I am in a bit of a struggle, hence right now, not with suicide, but just mentally, because I am in a gloomy vibe, contingent upon the weather. As I showed you, there has been, or there will be, several days of no sunshine. It's cloudy skies and rain. And sometimes that atmosphere can shape shift where my mind goes and how I function. And no matter how much I set up my home, my environment to combat that, there's times you can't trick your mind. There's times that you can't always navigate through your internal thoughts to keep it on track. Not consecutive days in a row, and so now I'm going to have to put a lot of energy and a lot of resources into making sure that I keep myself uplifted. So last week video, I shared with you guys how I didn't want to go outside and be around people. Now I have to say that decision is no longer my own. It's no longer safe for me to just be in my home not amongst people and force myself out, because me staying indoors consecutively, it's not healthy. And I have to understand where and when I need to make executive decisions against my mind. I want to stay indoors. I want to be by myself. But guess what? Mentally, I'm not capable of doing that and not falling into a space that I don't need to be in, because I'm not actively searching and seeking and putting myself in a more uplifting space. Suicide is serious. The thought of suicide are serious, and I'm here to tell you it just may never go away. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight and understanding of someone like myself who battles with depression and anxiety and have a history of suicidal thoughts. Do know I am okay. I just want to share what it looks like to be okay but not be okay. I'm laughing, but I really hope that makes sense. Like, I am okay. Sound, body, and mind. I am okay. However, there is a mental side of me that is not okay. And today is one of those days that I have discovered that there's a part of me that's not okay. So I have to go and take care of the part that is not okay. Remember to check on your strong friends. Remember that acting in love and kindness because you do not know what people are going through is essential. We don't know what anyone's triggers are, and we could inadvertently be triggering folk through our actions, through our behavior. And so move in love and kindness. One of the reasons why I always end my videos with "I love you" is because you never want to assume that someone hears those words often. Also, even if they hear those, there's sometimes those words do not penetrate. And so hopefully, if you don't hear it, you hear it from me. And if it never penetrates from those that you hear from, that it penetrates from me, a stranger, or someone that you may know that you're watching on YouTube. But I never like to take the words "I love you" for granted. Those simple words mean a lot to people who could be going through something in the moment. Even if it's not mental illness, the words "I love you" I feel like are a powerful thing. And I want to normalize using those words. So, with that being said, I truly hope that this video was insightful. And again, this is not to scare anyone. I am okay. I am doing okay. Just giving you a little bit of insight into how my mind works, how I am battling and continuously struggling through my mental imbalances. And furthermore, if you are having thoughts of suicide, that you seek the help that you need, that you surround yourself by people who are able to make sure that on a daily basis you are okay. And of course, let me end with, if no one told you today, let me be the one to say, I love you. Bye.